Okay, welcome back to part 2, guys, of the shoulder workout. And we went over, of course, the fundamentals of shoulder press and hitting the front deltoid. And hopefully you learned, or already knew, that there's a lot more to it than a lot of people think. Most people go into it like a bench press, simply pushing it above their heads, when in reality there's a lot more to it. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you're going to want to check that out before you go on to part 2, because right now I'm about to show you another huge misconception that a lot of people mess up in the gym daily, and that's hitting the utmost important side delt. Okay, that's what gives you the mass of the delts. That's what gives you that wide frame when you're walking. It ties into the arm. It just builds the entire shape of the shoulder. Of course, every delt is important, but the side delt's the one that really stands out. Okay, the number one exercise I always use for these is the one and only side laterals. Now there's some different variations. There's seated, there's standing, there's one arm at a time, or there's 2 arms. There's even the cable version. I'm going to show you the basic standing 2-arm dumbbell laterals, okay? Now there's some huge mistakes that people either make, or there's some things that are so important in this exercise that people just neglect altogether. Alright, 1, I'm going to demonstrate with a light weight just so you can really see what the movement consists of. The biggest misconceptions is don't keep your arms straight. Too many people keep their arms straight and lift it right out to the sides. Alright, that's going to kill your rotator cuff. You're going to be leaving with nothing but a hurt shoulder, and you're not going to be really hitting the deltoid in that whatsoever. Okay, so what you want to do is in fact bend your elbows. Now they don't have to be parallel to the floor, even though when you use the machines for this, that's how they will be. Bend your elbows just lower than parallel, okay? And give yourself a slight lean forward, just ever so slightly. If you're just beginning this, don't worry about the lean, because I don't want you to confuse yourself and try to focus on it too much. But a slight lean forward, okay? Next, you don't want to lift them up in the air to your sides, as simple as that, okay? There's a few steps. Most important thing, let your elbow come up first. Your elbow should always be higher than your fist. 2, make sure your pinky knuckle is being lifted first, okay? Your pinky knuckle should be the highest knuckle on your hand. If you're coming up holding the dumbbells with your pointer finger knuckle up high, that's wrong. That's not going to be hitting your side delt. Pinky finger up. So it's like a flapping chicken sipping tea. That's how you got to remember it, okay? So lean forward, elbows come up before your hands, and your pinkies are up highest like you're at a tea party. That's how you want to do it. And if you really want to get intricate, as you lift up to the side, roll your arms back ever so slightly. You can see I'm not just lifting up to the side. I'm rolling my arms back just ever so slightly. And that really, really contracts the side delt and even a little bit of the rear delt all in one. I'm going to show you this set with light weights first, and then we'll get into the heavier weights and how you can do it once you really get a feeling for the motion. So pinkies up. My hands are never coming higher than my elbows. Very important. And you don't want to bring them right together, okay? Don't bring them together in the center, because that'll put all strain on your rotator cuffs. They only need to come in about as close as your hips. Now a lot of people wonder, what is the point of doing front dumbbell raises? We already did front delts in shoulder pressing, military pressing, and dumbbell pressing, right? At the beginning of the workout. But here's the difference. Shoulder pressing hits the front delts entirely differently than front dumbbell raises do. Shoulder pressing will give you that pop you need in your deltoid. That front, that peak that you need when you throw up a front double bicep, okay? That's what shoulder pressing hits. Front dumbbell raises come into play a lot more when it comes time to hit that most muscular. They hit the fibers, the inner fibers, the outer fibers much differently than shoulder pressing will. So, what I prefer to do is much different than the generic dumbbell raise. Okay, many people will take a barbell or a dumbbell and simply raise them up in front of them like so. Now mine isn't too far off from that, but that specific movement tends to mess with my shoulder, and I've talked to many other people who feel the same way. So what I do, and I feel is actually more effective, is I bring them up, holding them as I would a hammer curl. Straight up and down. I really, really find that this isolates my front delts even better. It allows you to really squeeze into the movement and doesn't put so much strain on your rotator cuff. Now, if the other way works for you best, then by all means go for that. Everything works for everybody differently. I prefer this way though. Now, the key is not to just bring it up in front of you. All right, you want to bring it up and in. So if I were to do them together, they'd almost clack together. I prefer doing one arm at a time. And I don't even do it alternating. I do one arm at a time, and I do all the reps at once with one arm. Instead of going back and forth, this will actually fatigue your muscles faster. It does not give them a chance to rest. If you start alternating and do one at a time, it gives each delt a chance to rest every time the next one goes up. So try switching it up. Remember, slow and controlled, up and in. Slow and controlled to the negative. Don't swing. You shouldn't be landing, having it swing behind you, and throwing it up again. All muscle, no momentum. Okay, now we've hit front delts with shoulder pressing in the beginning, getting that pop and that peak. Alright, we've hit side delts with laterals, which gives you that width and that thickness in your shoulder from the side and the front. And we've hit front raises, which really brings it into gear on stage. When you shred that body fat and water weight off, that's when it comes into play. It's the front delts and those most musculars. The only thing left standing is, of course, the one and only rear delt. The little bitty head you get when you hit those rear double biceps and that side chest. Okay, the rear delt is what a lot of people neglect most of all out of all shoulder workouts. They think it doesn't matter so much, it doesn't have much to do with your width and your size, but in fact, it counts for everything, alright? Your rear delt is what makes symmetry, especially if you're on stage and you hit those side relaxed poses. That gives you the symmetry and the width you need for those shots. That's what makes the symmetry in the shoulders, okay? So, there's one way in particular I really love to hit these. Having trained a few different people, I've come to find that shoulders, along with back, are the toughest group to get down with learning the techniques and hitting it right. One of the toughest exercises I've found to teach people is rear laterals, but they're so essential for hitting your rear delts. I do them standing, but I'm going to teach you sitting down. It's a lot like side laterals, but very different at the same time. Again, focus on your pinky being outward. When you bring the dumbbell out, don't bring your front knuckle out first, okay? It should always be pinky up first like a tea party. And never bring your elbows back, because that turns into a row. That's hitting your back. Always bring your elbows out, like you're dragging them against the wall in front of you, or you're hitting the most muscular on stage, okay? But at the end of the seat, knees out, okay? Lean your chest right into your thighs. Grab the dumbbells. Again, elbows out, not back. Okay, elbows always out, pinky out. And really contract that rear delt. Don't row. My elbows are staying forward and out. Pinkies staying frontward. Okay, I can't stress that enough. Now, of course, shoulders make the frame. And now you know what I've done to build mine up. Of course, like I said, my shoulders are an area I'm working hard to build up on because they're not my strongest point. But again, if you've seen the pictures of when I first started and you've seen how little shoulders I had compared to everything else in my body, I'm doing pretty well on holding my own in that department. So until then, guys, enjoy. I'll have much more training videos coming. And now, feel free to friend request me on Facebook under Nick Wright Bodybuilding. Alright, guys, I just opened that page up, so definitely feel free to message me, friend request me, hit me up on that, and also look for me in April's edition of Natural Bodybuilding and Fitness and the one and only Flex Magazine, page 32. It's got Phil Heath in the cover, guys. Check it out. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for your subscriptions. Until next time.